Hello everyone, and welcome to day 2 of our Love Heart Challenge. So again, I'm just so happy and really honored that you are here in the group and going through this challenge. It's not easy. The reality is that when we have struggles in our relationship, it really takes a toll on us. Some days are harder than others. Sometimes we just want to give up. Sometimes we just don't even want to try anymore. And the fact that you're even here, the fact that you're watching this video, it says a lot. So I really just want to honor you for that. So today, it's all about unconditional love. Unconditional love is just that, right? Loving without condition. And when we love without condition, we're basically saying, I love you regardless of what you do or don't do for me. So if you make the bed in the morning, I love you. If you don't make the bed in the morning, I love you. And I'm not going to be mad or upset or disappointed if you don't do it. It's not going to be an argument. So we have to look at areas of our life where we could be putting conditions on our relationship, and really it causes strain, and it causes sometimes the arguments and the disagreements that we go through. A big part of this is removing expectations, right? And a lot of people will struggle with this and kind of like, no way, I expect certain things. That's what I expect. That's what I want. And that's that. And basically that becomes like, it's just this demand that you have on your spouse or people around you. And that also is something that really begins to break down your relationship. So I like to use the word understanding. Having an understanding with your spouse, with yourself, with other people, and setting healthy boundaries. This is something that I think everyone should have, and I think it's different from having an expectation of them. Because when you have an understanding, there's a communication that goes on that basically speaks to people and says, this is what I love, this is what I hate, these are my dreams, these are my hopes, this is what I desire. And then because you love each other unconditionally, it's what you give to each other, it's what you want, it's the way you serve each other, right? So there's a difference between those expectations and having an understanding in your relationship. So I encourage you to look at areas in your relationship where you might have expectations, right? And sometimes, I'll go back and give you an example. Actually, a few years ago, before my husband and I went through a period of separation, I expected, or I wanted and I expected my husband to be like my dad. My dad kind of just would fix anything and everything, would run to the store. He kind of was a ask no questions, or he is really kind of like an ask no questions kind of guy. Like, I just know that if I pick up the phone and I'm like, hey dad, I need you to come fix the faucet. And he just, like, his immediate response is really just like, all right, are you home later on? No problem, I'll be right over. And, my husband might be the person that he has to go through like a whole strategy of it, or he has to like analyze the whole process, or he wants to have a conversation about fixing the faucet, So for me, I would just start calling my dad, and he'd be like, why are you calling your dad? Which of course, made him feel, I'm sure, like less of a man or of a husband. And so I really had to evaluate what I was bringing to the table and how I was contributing to some of the challenges and the stresses that we had in our marriage. So I just encourage you to go through, and in this day, or this exercise, you're really going to want to go through and dive deep into who you are, what you love, what you hate, so that you can then relay that information, or relay your desires to your spouse and people around you, right? Sometimes you're at work even, and let's just say, for example, someone they'll come to your desk, they'll leave their cup on your desk, or they joke around. Sometimes there's people that kind of joke around and they're very like touchy-feely, or they don't respect like personal space. And but if you establish an understanding of, I really value my personal space, and it really bothers me when somebody, puts their things down like in my space. So I would just really appreciate it if you didn't. um, or it would I would really appreciate it if you just, if you kind of just respected the space of mine. I want to respect your space, and just having that understanding, it sets a healthy boundary, and someone who respects and appreciates healthy boundaries is going to respect and appreciate yours. Someone who doesn't is going to be defensive, right? Or they might stop talking to you, or they might be kind of maybe a little more demanding, kind of like a passive aggressive, and you have to then just evaluate, obviously not with your spouse, but that's when you just evaluate whether or not this is someone that you need to have in your circle, or that even in your personal space. But setting those healthy boundaries is going to really help not just your relationship with your spouse, but your relationship with yourself, because it also boils down to self-love and having unconditional love for yourself, loving yourself enough to respect yourself, and to just, share with other people who you are, who you want to be, who you're becoming, and growing and doing things together in a way that you're serving each other and honoring each other. So unconditional love is something that once you begin, there's like bugs flying around. Once you begin to really develop that muscle, you develop the ability to, and sometimes it's a practice, because I know for me, I was so selfish. I had a coach who told me, you're very selfish. Your love is based on condition. You do so much for people, and then when people don't do anything for you, you're kind of like, I don't want you to give me anything or do anything, but at the least you could do is say thank you, And unconditional love is like that thing that says, I'm gonna love you, I'm gonna serve you, I'm gonna give, regardless of what you choose to do. So it really is something that has to be developed. I know it took me time to develop, and I still, each day, I always feel like all of these things are things we have to revisit and continue to develop on a daily basis. Because if you're not working on it, like I said, it's like a muscle, you lose it. So unconditional love it's something that, sometimes you don't really think about it. And like, I thought I was the most selfless person, around. And as I really started to dive in and dive deep, I started to realize, no, maybe not. I really did have an expectation of okay, I'm going to do all of this stuff and I'm going to give you the world, but, say thank you, or kind of some acknowledgement, not publicly or whatever, but just give me something back, So, so there's a lot of different ways that having a conditional based love can show up in your life, through your actions, through your words, through your body language, right? So I just encourage you, do the love sheet today and really just go dive in and evaluate areas that you can share and communicate with your spouse, and maybe journal for yourself, areas that you can strengthen yourself, and really just begin to build that muscle, that heart of unconditional love. I hope that you are just blessed by this, and thank you again for being here. It truly is an honor to be able to serve you in this way. And if you have any questions, as always, just send me a message and I'll make sure that I get back to you. All right, well, you all have a wonderful and blessed day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.